General Jameson had always been known for his tactical prowess and leadership skills on the battlefield. But there was one battle that he could never forget, one that changed the course of his life forever. It was during a failed attack on the rebel palace that he first saw her. Her beauty was beyond compare, and her sword skills were unparalleled. Even in the heat of battle, he couldn't take his eyes off her. After the attack, Jameson and his men went searching for any survivors. It was then that he learned that the woman he had been mesmerized by was the leader of the rebels. He knew that he should have considered her an enemy, but something in him couldn't help but be drawn to her. Days later, they met again, in the ruins of the palace. This time, the lady didn't hesitate to challenge Jameson to a one-on-one duel. The general was confident in his own abilities, but he had never faced an opponent quite like her before. The fight was fierce and brutal, and for a moment it seemed like either one of them could win. But in the end, it was the lady who emerged victorious, leaving Jameson wounded and humiliated. And yet, even in that moment, he couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for her. Over the next few weeks, Jameson couldn't get the rebel leader out of his mind. He knew that he had to see her again, to learn more about her, to understand what it was that made her so captivating. And so, against all odds, he took charge of a secret mission to find her. It was a dangerous and risky move, but he was willing to take that chance for the woman he had fallen in love with. As Jameson and his men ventured deeper into enemy territory, they faced countless challenges and obstacles. But the general was determined to see his mission through, to find the rebel leader once again. They had to navigate treacherous terrain, avoid enemy patrols, and survive deadly ambushes. But despite all the challenges, Jameson was unwavering in his determination to find the rebel leader. He couldn't shake the memory of her from his mind, and he knew that he had to see her again. Finally, after weeks of searching, they discovered the rebel base hidden deep in the mountains. Jameson knew that this was their chance, and he rallied his men for a final assault. The battle was fierce and brutal, with both sides taking heavy casualties. But Jameson and his men were well-trained and disciplined, and they managed to break through the enemy lines. As they stormed into the rebel stronghold, Jameson saw her once again. She was standing on a balcony, overlooking the chaos below. He knew that he had to reach her, to talk to her, to understand the woman behind the sword. But before he could make his way to her, he was surrounded by a group of rebels. They were closing in on him, ready to strike. Jameson drew his sword and prepared for the fight of his life. He knew that if he wanted to survive, he had to be at his very best. The fight was intense, with both sides trading blows back and forth. But in the end, it was Jameson who emerged victorious, with the rebel fighters lying defeated at his feet. With his path now clear, Jameson made his way up to the balcony where the rebel leader was standing. She turned to face him, her eyes narrowed and her sword at the ready. For a long moment, they just stood there, eyeing each other warily. But then, slowly, the rebel leader lowered her sword. "I have heard of your determination, General," she said, "and your skill with a blade. I have to admit, I'm impressed." Jameson couldn't help but feel a sense of pride at her words. He had always taken his martial abilities seriously, and to be recognized by such a skilled fighter was a great honor. But more than that, he felt a sense of connection to the woman standing in front of him. They were both warriors, both leaders, both willing to fight for what they believed in. And as he looked into her eyes, Jameson realized that he had fallen even deeper in love with her.